If you've been waking up recently with a kind of deep soulful fatigue, the kind that a good night's sleep just doesn't seem to shift, or you notice this unexplained heaviness in your chest, a kind of emotional tightness that you can't quite put into words, then stay with me for a moment, please, because this message feels specifically for you. There is a strong sense of heavy, crowded energy surrounding so many of you at this time. And when I say heavy, I don't just mean physical tiredness. I mean the kind of exhaustion where even simple things feel harder than they should, like replying to a message feels like effort, making a decision feels draining. You are functioning, you're doing what needs to be done, you're showing up, but underneath it all, something feels flat, it feels heavy, almost joyless. And it's like your spirit is quietly asking for something, but you haven't quite stopped long enough to hear what it is. Now, what is coming through very clearly is this, and you really need to hear this, that this is not because you're failing, this is not because you're broken, and this is not because you're weak. What I'm being shown here is that I can only describe as energetic crowding. And the best way I can explain this is it's that if imagine you've been carrying this incredibly heavy backpack, and this that backpack represents the emotional weight, things like the weight of expectations and responsibilities, even the versions of yourself you outgrown, those invisible burdens you were never meant to carry forever, but you've been carrying for so long that you've forgotten it's even there, because it's that's what happens, isn't it? We adapt, we normalize the weight, we get used to carrying things long after they've stopped serving us. And what I'm sensing very strongly is that many of you have arrived at, I'd call it a sacred threshold of letting go. And now, when people talk about letting go, we all immediately think of physical things like decluttering the house, changing jobs, moving house, even ending relationships. But this is much deeper than that. This is energetic decluttering. And because let's be honest here, many of you have spent years, maybe even decades, carrying this invisible emotional weight. Again, the weight like the expectations of other people, the weight of versions of yourself you'd be by now, or the life you imagined would have unfolded differently, the weight of relationships you believed would last, or the roles you stepped into because someone had to, the grief of chapters that quietly ended without ever really being acknowledged, and even perhaps the weight of identities that once protected you but no longer fit who you are now. Identities like the caretaker, the fixer, the strong one, and the woman who makes sure everyone else is okay, the woman who keeps it all together, dependable one. And perhaps those identities served a purpose once. Perhaps they helped you survive certain seasons in your life. But survival identities are not meant to become permanent roles. And what I keep hearing is this: your soul is running out of room. Now, this is not because there's anything wrong with you, but rather it's because who you are becoming cannot fully emerge while your hands are still full of who you used to be. You cannot receive with clenched fists. You cannot step into a new season while gripping tightly to the roles that are draining the life out of you. So, what I'm being shown are two things that are most likely keeping you stuck. Um, Two things that desperately need to remain in your past. The first one, and this is a big one for so many of us, really, it's letting go of the timeline. So many people carry this quiet grief, the silent resentment that life has not unfolded according to the original script. Maybe you thought that by now you'd be more secure, you'd be more settled, more financially stable. maybe you thought this chapter would look completely different, and with that comes often comes shame, the quiet voice saying things like, I should be further ahead by now, I should have done better. But energetic decluttering means forgiving life for not following your original timeline. It means releasing the version of happiness or success that no longer belongs to you, because constantly comparing your real life to the imagined version is exhausting, and it serves no purpose rather other than to keep you trapped. And the second, excuse me, the second thing to consider is letting go of outdated loyalty. And ask yourself honestly here, are you still keeping yourself small to make other people comfortable? Are you still loyal to dynamics that require you to shrink? Are you still choosing familiarity over expansion? Because loyalty is beautiful, but misplaced loyalty becomes self abandonment. And it's safe to outgrow friendships, it's safe to outgrow roles and expectations, even old versions of yourself. So here's the question I want to leave with you today. And I need you to answer this honestly, deeply honestly. And that is, what am I holding on to simply because I'm afraid of the empty space it would leave behind? Because sometimes we do not cling to pain because we want it, we cling to it because it is familiar, because at least we know who we are inside it. So I need you to hear this very clearly today, that letting go does not mean you're losing. It means you're making room, you are preparing, you're clearing the canvas, you are creating space for something truer, something lighter, something more aligned, something more fully you. And perhaps for the first time in a very long time, you don't need to carry everything.